How long will we be gathering today?
I am aiming for no more than an hour and 45.
Okay.
So it might be hour and 15 to an hour and 45. I think my sharing part, so the plan is I'm going to share for it'll probably be 45 to 60 minutes. And then, so while I'm sharing, I'm just going to keep going. I'm just going to flow to make sure that I share all of the important pieces, and then just write down your questions or put them in the chat, whatever you prefer. And we will do questions after my sharing part, and then we can revisit the little pieces of it as needed for what you guys want to know more about. Baked potatoes are in the oven. Nice. That's great. I had sweet potatoes in the oven when I talked to Charlie the other day. Okay.
Soul food.
Yes. Yeah, the potatoes are so good. Yeah, especially for you over there in the Ireland regions. Yes. Okay. Well, everybody, this is such a powerful topic. And as I'm putting all of the content and the pieces together for this, I'm thinking this would be like a 5 or 7 module course if I fully expand upon it. So today is going to be an overview, but it's to give you a really strong sense of the energetics of money, right? And how to really step into joy around the energetics of money, which is not always the easiest thing to do. And I have everything I'm going to share with you here, I have learned the hard way. I will tell you, it has been through a lot of failures and knockdowns, and then successes and figuring out what works, as well as, of course, many, many books that I've read and different ways that I've researched the topic, and having a 15-year career in business and finance. So there's a lot of different pieces kind of contributing to this whole understanding of how it works. And I want to say from the beginning, one book that is absolutely key that I strongly recommend you read if you haven't already, read it right away, is The Soul of Money by Lynn Twist. This book is incredible. It will just really help to shift your perspective around what is possible. And it's important to know who Lynn Twist is, too, as you're going into that book. So Lynn Twist is the co-founder of the Pachamama Alliance. This is an amazing organization based in San Francisco that for, I think they got to their 20-year mark now, has been working with the indigenous people in the Amazon rainforest in Ecuador to help preserve their lands. And this was all based upon a visit to the rainforest that Lynn and her husband, Bill, and also John Perkins were on the same trip together. And the Sapara people of Ecuador told them, you need to change the dream of the modern world. And so they set out on a mission to do that. And so they lead incredible workshops, paradigm shifting initiatives all around the world. And particularly they're helping the indigenous people in the Amazon to preserve their ancestral territories and keep the loggers and the oil drillers out. Now, the thing about Lynn Twist, though, is that she is and always has been the lead fundraiser for the Pachamama Alliance. So she has this incredible, massive mission to basically save the rainforests of the world and change the dream of the modern world, which is huge, right? And she started out her career working on something called the Hunger Project in the 80s. And I think this was mainly based in Africa. I'm not fully informed on all the details of that, but it was this massive fundraiser. And she found herself to be very, very skilled at calling in money. And so they raised just millions and millions of dollars to feed hungry children and hungry families around the world. And so then once they got this call from the rainforest and the indigenous people, she turned those fundraising skills toward the Pachamama Alliance. And it's just incredible how they have this fundraising event every November. They're bringing in donations all year round. And it really goes to show in this very beautiful way that we can live in abundance. Bill and Lynn, I've stayed in their house. They have this beautiful house in San Francisco, just gorgeous, just appointed with the finest things, and just things that they, pieces that they have gathered from all around the world, all their travels. They have lived this beautiful, abundant life, right? And we are meant to have all of the abundance that we need. When I stayed with them, it was when I was somewhat miraculously given a job blogging for the Pachamama Alliance at the beginning of 2015. And I got to go and visit. I got to stay at Bill and Lynn's house. They were so kind. They opened their doors, to everybody who wants to help contribute. And then I went and trained in the office with the Pachamama Alliance. So I got to see their life. And that made a very strong impression on me about when we step into our highest mission, when we step into alignment with the universal will, right? Like the universal plan, all of the abundance can flow to us very easily, very flowfully, in just magnificent, majestic, synchronistic, beautiful ways. And so that really shifted my perspective on what was possible. And that was the same year that I started Sacred Planet, 2015. Right? It was like all little stones placed on my path, just perfectly. So, because I had been raised in this business and corporate finance background, where it was like the men get ahead and you have to work really, really, really hard, and you have to work 80 hours a week to get to the next level of the next promotion. And those constructs are just so false and so destructive. And this was like this whole other way, right? So that is the basis upon which she wrote The Soul of Money, right? Is all of her experiences of her own life and these amazing projects that she's been fundraising for. So I highly recommend that book. It's just a really amazing look at what money really is. And essentially she's saying money is a flow. And yes, like we said, flowfully, money is a flow. It is a flow of energy, and money is meant to flow into my life and then out of my life to the next person, and then to the next, and then to the next. When we try to stop the flow, this is what Lynn says. We try to hold on to it. If we try to lock it up in the bank account or track every penny and keep it locked up in any way, the flow stops. But when we allow it to come to us, and then we allow it to go out into the world to contribute to other amazing things, more can come in. And this is how she's lived her life. And
I need to take a moment just to absorb what you're saying and really feel what you're saying, because I'm finding I'm tearing up. We all know how I tear up when I hear truth. And just really wanted to let it really settle into my body, what you're saying. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just really wanted to feel it.
And your eyes, in our hearts, and just feel that. And feel the abundance wanting to flow to you. And you can keep your eyes closed as you add this to the learnings today, that the universe wants us to have everything we need. It wants each and every one of us to have everything we need to give our highest contribution in this lifetime. So really feel that as well. It's a fundamental truth. And what we're meant to have is not only the money. Money is a part of it. In our modern world, we need that to survive, to be in an abundance mindset. But it also includes all the other resources. It includes the relationships, the connections with other people, the opportunities that show up. It includes our health, our energy levels to do the work, our mental health as well. So just bring your awareness to everything that you know that you need to live your fullest life and to be the contribution. And just let's open our arms up and just feel everything you need flowing in to you. And if it feels right for you, bring your awareness to open the heart chakra. Feel that heart chakra spinning in a clockwise direction, this beautiful green lotus flower. And just allow everything you truly need in highest frequency to flow right in. This is our natural state of being, to be receiving continually everything we need. And so this work of shifting the mindset around money is really about removing the blocks we've put up that are stopping that flow. So now just really hold your space, hold yourself in this space where there are no blocks, there are no restrictions. Just let it flow in. Take a deep, deep breath into your heart now. Really filling up abundantly, filling up all the way. And then release that breath. When you feel ready, you can open your eyes when you're ready. How does that feel? Thank you. Thank you, Tammy. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, thanks for going there. And wow, let's just all do that every morning now. Just for a couple minutes. What a difference that would make, right? Just to feel that at the beginning of every day. All that I need flowing right in. And we need to keep the alchemical prayer in mind in relation to that, right? That it may flow in ways that we never imagined, but that, and keep in mind, we think we know what we need, right? And we do to some extent. But the creator, the universe, there's this divine intelligence that knows all the things we really need. And they may be so much better and more fun and more exciting than what we thought we needed, right? So that's what the alchemical prayer is about. And this idea of, dear universe, please send me all the things that I need the most, that I do not even yet know are possible. And we can really trust that, because that is how the universe actually works. So let's look at some of the principles of abundance. Now, I don't have fancy slides, but I have a Word document. So I'm gonna put that up here, and I'm gonna send that to you guys afterwards, just so that you can follow along. The only thing is, slides are good because they don't give you too much information at a time. So maybe what I'll do is I'll speak to this, And then I will send you the Word document, but I don't want you to be overwhelmed by all that's on the Word document at a time. So let me speak to it first, and then you'll get to see it all in writing later. So there are 7 principles of abundance. And this is really connecting with Ma'at, okay, in the Egyptian cosmology. She stands for natural order and cosmic law. Okay, so it's like, this is just how it is. You can't question these truths. And once you know them and you connect with them and you live them in every way that you possibly can, you come into alignment with all that is in these beautiful ways. So the first one is what we were just talking about, which is that the universe wants for you to have everything you need in order to offer your highest contribution to the world. And for those of you who are in my, programs who are called to entrepreneurship, this is about your sacred work, your sacred purpose. And it may also be about being a mom or being a, community member, or being a gardener. There can be different facets to this, right? But what we're really focusing on here is the entrepreneurship. So to carry out your highest purpose, the universe is continually wanting and even trying to send you everything you need, right? So relationships, opportunities, the energy you need, the mental and physical health. True abundance includes all of this. The second principle is that you cannot give your highest contribution if you're exhausted, depleted, burnt out, or in lack or scarcity. And we all know this the hard way, right? And so the universe doesn't want us to be operating in those terms. That's not what we're here to do. That's not what we were created for, to be in any kind of poverty, right? Whether it's energetic or mental or abundance-wise. That's not what the plan is. And so we want to step into the plan more and more. And this is a continual lifelong journey, right? But the principle number 3 is that you have a sacred responsibility to the universe, right? So this is reciprocity, to receive more so that you can joyfully and healthfully give more. And by doing so, we're entering into highest vibrational alignment with the greater plan. And this part, the fact that we have a sacred responsibility, I find is really important in the entrepreneurial mindset, because we can start to feel like we're being selfish. Like I know when I started my business, I had this 4-hour chunk of time on Saturday mornings when I told my then husband, I'm going to the coffee shop. I need you to watch the kids these Saturday mornings. And I would go work out, and then I would work out first. Then I would go to the coffee shop and work on the business. And I had no idea how I was going to make the business work at that point, right? No clue. But I really had to battle with myself because I felt so selfish taking those Saturday mornings away from my kids. And so this can show up in all of our lives in very different ways, right? But if there's anywhere that you feel like you're being selfish, you're not doing what other people are expecting you to do or wanting you to do, it's so important to let go of that, because we are guided by this much higher plan, right? We're by carrying out our purpose, by following our heart and our truth, we're linking into this much bigger plan that is cosmic, really. It's not just global, it's cosmic, right? So let go of any doubt, shame, feeling you're being selfish, anything like that. Now, the fourth principle is when we claim our power around our true mission and purpose, it extends out energetically, right? It like reaches out and brings the resources straight into our lives. This claiming of the power is critically important. So for those of you who have created summits, that's a huge step forward, okay, in claiming the power that you followed through, that you took the steps, that you got on video time and time again, right? You claimed your leadership role. And that's huge. So that's one example of how we can claim our power. There are many ways. And of course, that too will be different in each of our lives. But this is really the core goal around money, is to claim our power. And that's why the planet Pluto represents both money and power. Also sex, which is important as well, but we're not going there today. That is tied in with all this, but we're not going down that road today. Now, the fifth principle is that all of the support, guidance, and protection that you need is already here. And your guides are circled around you at all times, ready to assist. So call on them frequently. And just let's close our eyes again and just take a moment and just notice all of your guides in this beautiful circle around you, or maybe scattered around your room, who knows? They're all here. They are watching over you with this most beautiful unconditional love. And they see how we struggle as humans, and they want to help us through that. And they're really here for us to help us see more and more and more of the divine plan. And you can thank them, send them gratitude from your heart now for being here always. They love you so much. Take another deep breath in, breathing in fully, and release that breath. Open your eyes when you're ready. Now, the sixth principle is that your sacred yes is the key. And this is where we come to the sacred instructions. So those guides are helping us to decode the sacred instructions, which come through in ways that are not in human language, but we get to figure them out. We get to receive them. We get to follow the synchronicities and the miracles. And then we get to say yes. Right? So your sacred yes is the key. And the truth of this is that all hands are needed on deck right now, on the earth, all hands on deck to support the massive change that is happening. And I have gotten so many times in my meditation, we are calling forth a tidal wave of humans ready and willing to assist in the effort. Right? A tidal wave of humans is what is needed now. And you, every single one of you, are a key and critical part of that tidal wave. So when you say yes, even to just a teeny tiny little part of those sacred instructions, you are stepping into divine alignment, and you will be assisted, supported, and protected in magical and synchronistic ways. Now, the seventh principle of abundance is also critical, and it's that when you hit an obstacle or a stumbling block, know that this is part of the sacred plan. This is part of the sacred guidance. The obstacles and the stumbling blocks are either us running into a pattern that we need to shift, or protection keeping us from going down a certain path that we think from this view looks great, but they know it's actually not the highest path. So they're blocking us and keeping us from going there. But whenever there's an obstacle or a stumbling block, we have got to trust and surrender into it, and know that no matter how difficult it seems at that time, and it can be really, really hard as a human to step back and have that perspective in that moment, right? But no matter how hard it seems, this too is part of the sacred guidance and the golden threads. So in those situations, these are the Saturnian moments. We want to ask Saturn and ask our guides to help us learn the lessons and help us understand what it is that we need to shift, or what do we need to do differently than we thought in order to move into highest alignment. And so this is critical, because rather than feeling like we got to fight through it, right? We got to be strong. We got to, come back to the light. We got to, however we decide to fight against the resistance, we actually need to go deeper into it. And we need to ask, why? Why is this here? How can I work with this? What is the lesson? And really allow ourselves to learn. And some of the biggest up-levelings can happen when we lean in to those obstacles and the resistance. And those obstacles and resistance will happen again and again. It's a natural part. It's part of the plan, right? And so we want to know that there's going to be times when we move through huge periods of growth and like everything's going full, 4 cylinders, 6 cylinders ahead, right? And then all of a sudden, the wheels fall off. And it's like, what did I do wrong? We're taught that we did something wrong. We didn't do anything wrong. We were up leveling so fast that we had to like level out for a little bit, learn some new lessons so that we can then continue on to reach the even higher levels. So really trust the obstacles. They are guiding you. They are leading you. They are getting you back on the highest track. Or putting you on a new path that you didn't even know existed. So I will pause there. There's more. I have much more to share, of course, but do you have any big questions about that, or any reflections that feel important to share at this point?
I might just ask you something, Jocelyn. And it doesn't have to be in a bigger topic, but just when you were talking there about kind of obstacles and that up-leveling place, because I've also read that book about the Big Leap. I don't know whether you've read that.
Gay Hendricks, yeah.
Yeah. That's really good about talking about, when you get to that level, you kind of, something happens. It's almost like you sabotage yourself to kind of keep you in that container. And when you're trying to get bigger and bigger. So I kind of get confused as to whether you're sabotaging yourself or whether it's just kind of a block that you need to pause and then bust through, because I get a bit negative on it. I'm kind of there now because I just got really sick and I never get sick. And I'm like, okay, it's because I'm doing that, the summit thing and trying to expand, and I'm kind of at my limit, but I get a little bit negative about it. Whereas you were framing it quite as if you just need to pause to kind of catch up with yourself. Is that what you mean? Is that kind of the same thing?
It's kind of the same thing. I don't like that terminology of we're sabotaging ourselves.
Yeah.
I don't, that feels yucky to me. That doesn't feel true. Right. I know that's one like frame for it kind of, but really what I feel is happening is, so what he's talking or she's talking about there is the sabotaging piece is that there are these parts within us that want to stay small. And so when we make a big leap, or we're about to make a big leap, they kick in and they're like, no, this is terrifying. Let's come back down to where we were before. Right. But the other piece is that there are old patterns in there that we need to work with and clear and learn about, right? So it's not like we're just destroying ourselves,
Right.
We're completely shifting into a new mode of being. It's an up level, it's an upgrade into a new version of ourselves. And that's not easy for us in this 3D human form. So I feel sabotage is an overly negative word, and I think what's more important is to, like I said, really lean in and ask your guides, and especially ask Saturn, because this is his domain, these slowdowns and frustrations and stopping points when we wanted to go. What is the lesson I need to learn? What is the pattern I need to shift? And then, it's sabotage is just not quite the accurate way to approach it in my understanding.
Yeah, I like that. Thank you. Because sabotage kind of makes you just feel stupid. Just
It's
I
like
go
it's your
down that.
fault.
Yeah, it's like, why am I doing this to myself when I don't want to? And it doesn't give you an option, I guess. I feel like, yeah. So thank you. That feels much better.
So, in your example, this is a great example. If you're sick, I mean, there's sometimes the body just needs to make us rest so we can receive the new codes and up level. But I would say really ask your guides, ask Saturn, ask the creator, what do I need to do differently? What am I not seeing? How can I shift this? And the insights that come through from those conversations are just incredible. So I would love to hear.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like the more that we can see the obstacles as help rather than a hindrance, the more quickly we can move through them. That's something that I always remember Archon Lashwala saying. He said, everything is help. Everything. Like no no exceptions, no questions. Okay, beautiful. Thank you, Charlie. So let me move into the next piece here, which is about how to claim your power, because I guess there's really kind of two key action items that we can do to step into that expanded money mindset. One is to download the sacred instructions and follow them. The other one is to fully claim our power. Now, neither of those are super easy, but we could do them. We really can. And you're all already doing that. Right. And we continue to do that at higher and higher levels. So I would love to share how to claim your power. Because there are certain pieces that you want to have in your awareness about the process of how do we claim our power? That's really big work to claim our power, especially at this time after thousands and thousands of years of women having their power taken away. Like how do we actually do that? Right. So how we claim our power. So really the first part and the key part that we keep coming back to is we've got to do our healing work. And that healing work is about bringing our shadows into awareness and continually work on clearing and healing them. And we do this in so many ways, and I think we've got to follow what calls to us. Some of us are called to Native American indigenous lineages. Some of us are called to sacred plant medicine. Some of us are called to, all different traditions, Buddhism or, meditation, like yoga. There's so many different ways to dive into this. So really trust the healing work that you're called to the most, but be sure to do it. Be sure to be continually doing your healing work. And we need to keep in mind that with that healing work, we must often overcome significant trauma and pain from past lives and ancestral generations in order to allow ourselves to fully shine, right? In order to really let that power out. So the healing work is absolutely key. One good thing for us now is that the healing and releasing of old patterns is moving faster than ever before. I'm sure you're all experiencing that in different ways. And it kind of ends up being these like roller coasters, of ups and downs and healing and going back to the shadows, healing, going back to the shadows. but it's like movement, right? Real movement and real shifts and pattern breaking and releasing the old things that were not working. Right. So we want to be continually leaning into that. Really trust and surrender to that healing process when it comes up. And then, and again, that's continual, that's lifelong that we're going to be doing that kind of healing. And we just want to be going deeper and deeper into it. Once we know we've been doing the healing work, that's great. Then we want to set our intentions around claiming our power very strongly at the cosmically aligned times. So this is essentially asking for help. The universe, it's part of the cosmic law, the natural order, that when we ask for the help, it can be much more freely given. It can much more easily arrive to us. And sometimes that's all we need. Sometimes we've just forgotten to ask for help. And the best times to ask for help are at the new moons, solstices and equinoxes. Let me just categorize that just a little bit. The new moons are when we want to bring in something new. So if we're talking about, yes, I want to amplify my power, new moons are good for that. If there's something you need to release, right? Like I want to let go of these old ideas and old patterns, that would be full moon or waning moon time. That's another thing I want to teach a lot more about and need to find the space for, is aligning with the cosmos for all that we do and the rituals. But so new moons or full moons if we're releasing, and the solstices and equinoxes particularly. And the solstices and equinoxes are just an incredibly magical time. Kind of like sunrise and sunset are very magical times that we have every day, where it's like just the veils just dissipate and you can just feel the magic. You can feel the miraculous nature of things. Solstices and equinoxes are that same kind of energy. And then also on certain astrologically favorable days. We do have one astrologically very favorable day for healing in a way to claim our power. It's coming up, and that is March 1st and 2nd, which will be Venus and Jupiter conjunction with Chiron. Just very interesting. Very interesting. So it's like heal so that we can expand. Right? This is a massive time to be doing deep, deep healing work and ask for your power to come online fully. And ask, with Venus and Jupiter, ask for the abundance to be sent straight to you. But with Chiron there, we want to be really committing to the healing as well at the same time. That's a rare transit. That's a very special one. So setting our intentions, asking for the help at the cosmically aligned times. And then as we move forward from those intention setting dates, trusting our intuition. So trust your intuition, your heart and your soul to guide you. Really, just really trust yourself, come back to your center. And so no matter what the world is doing out there, no matter what the people around you are saying, telling you to do it this way, that way, changing your mind, or what are you crazy? Come back to yourself, trust yourself. You have so much power. We are so powerful. We are so magical. Come back into your heart. And I do think it's important to, in some way, be around people who can help you see outside of your own blinders, right? So whether this is a coach or a mentor, or a community that you're a part of, or a group like this amazing group, be with people who get you out of your comfort zone, that help you break free from your old patterns, see things that you never would have seen, if not for the whatever the conversations are, the work that's being done together. Whenever I have signed up with a coach, that's the main reason why, right? It's that they're going to help you see something that you wouldn't have seen on your own, or it would have just taken you a lot longer to see it on your own. Really help you make those leaps and get out of the comfort zone. And that's so that we can create something new. Because when we see things in a new way, when we leave behind the old patterns and the old comfort zone, we can create something entirely new. So along that same line, to fully claim your power, you want to live at your growth edge. And also with plenty of time for self-care. Okay. Because when we're making these leaps, we also need time to recalibrate and integrate, recover. This is what I have a little trouble with, because I'm always wanting to do the next new thing and the next new thing. And it's so exciting. I need to come back and have some self-care, which I'm getting much better at these days. And connect with the sacred instructions. So it's like we're living at our growth edge, right? We're getting the insights from others around us, helping us to see things in new ways. And we want to be receiving the sacred instructions or the divine will of the universe continually, right? And as I mentioned earlier, we need to decode them. They come through to us in ways that are not human language. So it can be very confusing. And that's like part of the process is getting clear and figuring out what are they saying, right? So giving yourself space for that, but continually, and this is, again, we can ask for this. I'm continually asking my guides, please send me the sacred instructions in a way that I can really understand, in a way that I can really carry out. And knowing that what we receive, we don't have to carry it out today or tomorrow, but just being aware of it helps us to get started on that path, right? Helps us to get closer and closer to it. And when we do carry out the sacred instructions, we make a huge leap forward. So the really big piece and what all of this is leading up to, these are kind of like steps along the path of claiming your power, right? Where the magic happens is where you trust those instructions, you trust yourself to have everything you need to do it, and you take that big leap. Now, when we take a big leap, jump off the cliff, right? Like outside of the comfort zone, sometimes we fail, and it's okay. And sometimes we succeed. Either way, we learn profoundly new lessons about our own power. When we fail, we learn about our resilience, our courage, our true and deep power on that side of things, right? How to deal with what is challenging. We see ourselves come through this, right? Like me coming through this months and months of being sick over the summer. Right? A whole new level of resilience and understanding what I'm capable of, what my body is capable of, what my soul is capable of. And even more fun when we succeed, right? When we succeed, we prove to ourselves how powerful we are. Right? And that's when it really sticks. That's when it's really, we just, now we're starting from a whole new place. Because now we're like, if we were down here, we take this leap, it's successful. Suddenly we see, oh my gosh, I did that. I could do it again. Right? I survived. It was amazing. The results were incredible. And now instead of starting from this place, we're starting everything else from up here. And when we take the next leap, it'll be from here up, right? This is when we become the whole new version of ourselves. We must dare to take the leap in order to really fully feel all that we are, all that we're capable of, all the power that we hold within, to do things we never thought we could, never thought possible. Other people around us never thought that was possible. But you did it. And that's, I mean, again, that's like what the summit is, right? The first summit. It's huge. So let me just check my notes and make sure I'm not missing an important piece there. Oh, right. So this is alchemical. This is the alchemical leap. Because when you look back on this leap, again, whether you succeed or fail, okay, when you look back on it, you will see that this was the moment when everything changed. This was the moment when everything shifted for you. And you will never be the same. And you're birthed into a brand new version of yourself. Of course, it's more fun and it's more affirming if it's a success, right? But even if it's a failure, when you took that big leap, it's huge just that you did it. Okay. And so this is very powerful in an alchemical transformational sense, because you are being birthed into a brand new version of yourself. And now you can begin from this higher level of being and understanding. And this is why it's always worth taking the leap, because those leaps are where the true breakthroughs occur in your true and deep power and your understanding of that power. And this is, as I was writing these words, my guides told me, you are allowing yourself to be alchemized by the will of the universe. So that's super strong. Allow yourself to be alchemized by the will of the universe. Let those sacred instructions flow through and inform your leap. And then trust and surrender with all your might. You will be birthed into a whole new version of who you are. So, how does this connect with money? So what's the important connection here is that when we come forward from a place of power, okay, because of all those, the healing and the trusting and the sacred instructions and the leap, all of that, right? It like gives us our power. It helps us to believe in ourselves. It shows proof of our power. We get to experience how, like, proof of how powerful we truly are by taking those leaps. And when we are coming forward and making our offerings or sending our emails or doing our communications with our community, whatever we're doing in our entrepreneurial ways, from that place of true power, it becomes irresistible. It becomes magnetic, right? People are naturally drawn to us. The resources naturally come in. And this is something that, it requires more and more practice and work over time. But it is a fundamental principle that the more and more we step into our power, with the power comes our full self-expression. Everything we need can flow in. And we are shining. We are radiant from that place. So let me pause there. There's a lot more that I want to share, but I think it might even have to be a second webinar. I'm just looking at what are the pieces, because I could go into the other pieces if you guys want to know about them. But I guess I just want to check in and see, how are you feeling? Do you have any questions, reflections? And yeah, we can decide how to use the remaining time based on what you all need the most. And you can just unmute and speak when you want.
Yeah, I'm feeling really inspired. So many knowings and ahas have been coming through as I've been hearing you speak. It feels really powerful. And I don't really have any questions. You know, there's things I could share about the clarity that's coming through for me, but I don't know that there's much need for that either. And I don't have questions. I'd be really curious to know what's alive for other people. That's where I am.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you, Ellie. So glad it's helpful.
Yeah, I'm feeling really opened and expansive right now. A lot of prana is flowing through my body. And I'm like Ellie, thinking of so many examples of this in my own life, you know, where I have stepped through the obstacle and what has flowed because of it. I just did a ceremony with toad medicine a couple weeks ago.
Amazing.
And really stepped through some fears that I had. And a lot of messages that I came back with was grateful and humble, grateful and humble, grateful and humble, being in this place. And I remember, Jocelyn, when we were doing the summit, and every time like a purchase would come through for a, you know, limited lifetime access or something, you would say thank you. Take a moment and say thank you for that, you know. And I know how important that is to recognize those moments and have the gratitude be the foundation for all of it, you know. Yeah. Just a little, there's so much more, but that's just what I'm gonna, you know.
Yeah, thank you, Taylor. That's so powerful. Yeah. Yeah, this is a really important piece. I'm so glad that you brought that up. So I do that for every purchase, even if it's a 1-cent donation. I say thank you, you know, like thank you, Bonnie, in Minneapolis, right? Because the sale thing comes through and it has their name and their address. Thank you, name, in, location. And I picture them there, wherever that place is on the earth. And yeah, it's beyond, it's this beautiful, energetic web that we weave of gratitude and joy. With just little tiny things like that. Yeah, there are a lot of ways to do that gratitude with money that can really help create some shifts, you know, as far as whenever any money comes in or whenever you look at your bank account, you know, have so much gratitude for whatever amount is there, right? Don't think about what's not there that you wish was there. That's the wrong energy. We don't want to create that, right? Say thank you, you know, deep gratitude for that, whatever the amount is.
And that's different because I used to be like, oh, I'm not going to pay attention to it because it shouldn't matter, you know, like, oh, that's the X number. So I'm just, you know, I'm not going to put a big attention on what it is. It's all just ether. It's all just, you know,
Flow.
it's just the flow. So that's a little bit of a shift for me to really look at. Like, I went to the bank yesterday. I'm like, may I have my balance, please? She gave me the slip, and I like was like this, like it was like I and then I put the paper away, you know, and so this is a reminder that I really like, that's not the way. Turning my head away doesn't make it all abundant, you know?
Right.
But
there's-
really taking it in. Wow. Good job, Tammy. You know, good. Thank you to the people that contributed and that are part of this flow. You know, that's different.
Yeah. Yeah, there's my coach who I've worked with her at different times through many different years, Elizabeth Purvis. She has this exercise that you do where you track everything that comes in for a week, 2 weeks, and you put it all in a, document or an Excel sheet, whatever you prefer. And you really just acknowledge every single little bit that flows in. Every single bit that flows in. Because we do have such a tendency to think about our money or our bank account and think, oh, I wish it was different. And that is pushing things away. We want to be really aware of where are we creating walls and barriers and blocks. Right? Really being so grateful for what we do have. And everybody, everybody on this call and everybody listening to this, we have so much, right? We have so much abundance in our lives. And the more we can expand our heart and with gratitude for all that we have, the interesting thing is more then can come in.
Yeah, it reminds me, can you all hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, it just reminds me to honor money and to even schedule that in my diary, to take time each day or week to honor the flow. And what the other part that was coming through me was the karmic part, like the obstacles. At this stage for me, it's like it feels karmic, like it's really turning towards what's karmic. It's like the book in previous sessions. It's like, now this is really important to be with these obstacles or whatever's going on, or the fear, and working to release or dissolve that. Because I don't want to come back again and deal with money, the curse, like I've got to do it this time.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is so helpful. And it, just on a tiny, connected, it was maybe 2 years ago, Jocelyn, in a mentorship with you, and you spoke of the what's the book, Profit First.
Yes. Yep.
Which was it is such a great book. But I remember
Amazing.
the lady that did the presentation.
Yeah, that was Jess. She was the bookkeeper.
Yes. Yeah.
Jess.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry. I felt like I was going to die, like all through that presentation. I felt like I was being strangled, and like I don't think I could even speak. And you're like, got anything to say, Emer? No. So it feels, I'm really happy to notice in myself that it feels a lot different. I feel some restriction, but yeah, it's like acknowledging that and opening to that, so that whatever needs to release can go, and allow myself to be alchemized. Yeah, feels really good. And when we had our eyes closed, it was like my emerald crystal heart was opening and connecting with the gold, of course, green and gold, the Irish flag. It's like that connection of the emerald heart with the golden abundance that's available.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for this share. Amazing that you feel the restrictions like loosening and falling away over time.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
Yes.
Laughter helps too, doesn't it? A bit. Thank you.
Jocelyn, can I ask a question?
Mhm.
Are you going to touch or planning to touch any more on the notion of the letting money flow? I know that in and of itself, it's a very clear concept,
Mhm.
but I'm also very aware that I got a lot of Yorkshire lineage, and what that means is women who are very good at saving money.
Uh-huh.
So it's like that's in my veins. So letting it flow more feels really good. And if you do have any more to say on that, I would love to hear.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just sensing into that to see what is most important to come through around that. And it is something that an idea that's very antithetical to what we've pretty much all been taught, because we're, and I mean, this generation, at least in the US, and I think really around the world, it was the Great Depression in the 20s and 30s. So our grandparents went through that, and their parents, so like ancestrally and just in the traditions that's been handed down in so many ways, and all the different times of scarcity throughout humanity, it's been handed down. We have to be really careful. We have to hold on to it. We have to make every penny last, and money doesn't grow on trees, and all these, we have sayings about it. So it is really deep. And this is something that the Soul of Money book is really beautifully addresses, I will say, very beautifully, very eloquently. But I do think in the energetic sense, there's like always energetic and then practical, right? In the energetic sense, it is this like letting the heart fill up all the way, like really taking the deep breath in, and like really just like letting, there's so much restriction that we hold in the body, right? And so maybe it's shaking or maybe it's deep breathing, but like really like allowing that to fall away as we're just here in the body and working with it, right? Moving in the ways that are right, to let it go, to let it be released. And in a practical sense, there's a lot that we can do. And this is kind of the, like, maybe the second half of this presentation that I'm trying to decide if I should go into today, around, here are the steps to take, in your business to also open up the flow. Right. And very practical pieces. So I can go into that if it's helpful, if you all would like to hear it. Okay. Getting some definite yes looks. Let me see. I have a few different sections here. I'm trying to see what is most important. So I have three sections I was going to share with you. Let me say one more thing too about that, actually, before I go into those. And it is this this other piece about, being healers, light workers, being people of high integrity and wanting a clear conscience and wanting, to not be taking, right? Not be in sales mode, not be trying to force anything, because that feels out of alignment. There is definitely this perception and this belief that's been passed down that, healers, light workers, leaders in the kind of ways that we are, in this sacred planet community, for sure, we have a lot of trouble asking for money in exchange for what we do. This is a really big thing. And on some level, you know, we all have to move through this. I know I moved through this in a really big way over a several year period where it can just feel really wrong to ask for money in exchange for healing or wisdom or, you know, meditation practices, right? And so we do need to be aware that that's there too, that is operating in us, right? And whenever we're sending emails and watching the unsubscribes, right? If we're sending sales emails and watching the unsubscribes, it's like, oh, did I go too far? I still feel this. Did I go too far? Did I push too hard? Was I too salesy? Was I too, am I not in a, really the bigger question is, am I not in alignment with my own integrity and my own spiritual part of my being? So there is this really interesting push-pull dynamic, right, between wanting to be in entrepreneurship, wanting to offer our contribution in this way and reach the world and help change people's lives, but having a really big block to actually claiming the abundance flowing in and allowing it to flow. And all these beliefs that we hold, they can be very subconscious, or they can be, we can be fully aware of them. Either way, these beliefs that we hold are part of those barriers that we put up that are not allowing it all to flow in. So when it's kind of like the healers and lightworkers money wound, when that wound comes up, it's really important to come back to this place of remembering in some of the 7 key principles, right, of abundance is we cannot bring our highest contribution if we are exhausted, depleted, burnt out, in scarcity, or in lack. We cannot. And so we have got to come back to the truth that the universe wants us to have everything we need. Think of Lynn Twist and her beautiful life. The universe wants us to have everything we need to give our highest contribution. And so we need to let that knowing, that truth, really come in and replace the idea that it's bad to charge for healing, transformation, these kinds of things. And so for this, it can be really powerful to recognize that as a limiting belief. And Ellie, maybe there's a way that you could work with your lineage and whatever the limiting beliefs around money are, recognize that as a limiting belief, right, that has this blocking power. So we want to clear it. And a really powerful way to do that is to choose an empowering truth statement that is the exact opposite of what the limiting belief statement is. So if the limiting belief statement is, I'm bad if I charge money for healing or spiritual work, right? This is just an example. The statement that would, one that would be the exact opposite of that, and let these be really fun, let your empowering truth statements be really fun, is the universe loves it when I charge money for my healing work. The universe smiles and shines the light down upon me when I charge money for my healing work, because then I am opening the flow of reciprocity and transformation and up-leveling the whole world through my being, right? Through my beingness, through my just being who I truly am. So, you put that on a Post-it and you read it every single day. Put it on your mirror, your refrigerator, wherever you will see it. Just let it, another good way is to put it in the reminders on your phone so that it pops up with an alert, at like 11 a.m. every day. Just let yourself be bombarded with that empowering truth. And it starts to crowd out the old beliefs because you recognize that as truth every time you see it. Right? That's like, yeah, the universe does does want me to charge for my gifts so I can be in abundance, so I can be healthy and strong and resilient and shine my light brightly and keep helping more and more people all around the world. I mean, that is a fundamental truth. Yeah, Tam.
That's a good question. So I've had the experiences the last couple weeks where two people who, one is a yoga instructor and another one is an energy worker. And we kind of traded services. I showed them a little bit of what I do. They showed me what they did. And both of them said, Tammy, I really want you to be my coach. I really need you to be my coach. I need this. I want this. I love this.
Amazing.
But I don't want to pay you.
Oh, wow.
I would like, I said, are you asking me to barter with you? You know? And so here I am, I'm finding this happened twice very recently. I'm like, okay, what is this pattern here?
Yes.
And how do I get myself out of it?
Yeah. Wow.
Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's so interesting. That is really powerful, events occurring to show you something. So, this is an interesting thing, the whole idea of bartering, right? And the issue with it is that when we get something for free, we do not value it anywhere near the amount we value it if we pay for it. So the other thing is that when one person wants something from another person, in that context, like, I want you to be my coach, usually then what you're going to be providing is much more powerful than what they could give you in exchange. Not always, but usually. Because they're wanting that. You weren't wanting them to whatever, right? But they want what you have. They want what you're able to give, right? And I mean, this gets into this whole other, it's just interesting, right? The principles of magnetism and attraction, and like you're holding this gift, this power, and they see that and they want it. But they are probably coming from the limited money mindset, right? We should try to get things for free. We should try to, stretch every penny. Again, I don't know the person, but often that's where it comes from. And so unfortunately, because of these kinds of dynamics, it doesn't work out to have a good result for all parties, for any parties in the end.
So would you say this is not reciprocity then?
Yeah, it's definitely not reciprocity. Although it appears to be, because there's an exchange happening. But what should really happen there is that you can offer your program to that person for the true price that it should be. And then they can tell you what they could give you for the true price that it should be. And you each pay each other. And that's how to bring it into alignment. Now, if they have something they can offer you that is an equal value to yours, and you pay each other and it evens out, beautiful. And then it's like the exchange has happened. My guess, and I don't mean to overly assume anything, but my guess in this scenario is that they cannot give you anything or offer you anything that's anywhere near the value that you would be able to provide and the price that you would need to charge for what you're going to offer them.
One of the yoga instructor, she wants to come to my events, as my guest is the way she puts it. But yet she wants me to pay for her yoga and invites me to her yoga. And everybody's shaking their heads.
So weird.
And she's saying, oh, I'm introducing you to my community, you know, this and that, as thinking like an influencer, I guess, you know.
That you're the influencer or that she is?
That she is. And so like she said, I brought my 2 friends to your thing. And I said, thank you. And I have a lot of people who bring their friends just because they want to bring their friends.
Right.
Just like I'm going to bring my friends to your thing if you know, if I think they're going to enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
It's all organic, you know, that way.
Right.
And even, you know, she came to 2 of my things, and then she said, well, you want to come to my yoga on Wednesday? And I said, yeah, that sounds great. I said, and I said, do you want me to pay for that through the, you know? And she said, yeah. And I paid for it and I went. And I thought, okay, I've got to figure out, because I'm thinking a flow, reciprocity, I'll give to her, it'll come back to, you know, but it doesn't feel like it's going the right flow. I don't know, you know, so I don't mean to take up everyone's time with this. I see other people are saying I've had the same situation. But I feel like it's like, well, maybe it's not a tit for tat, but I'll give and then I'll receive and then she'll give and she'll receive, but I don't know how to make it even.
The interesting thing about money here is that money can show us the true value of something. Right. Okay, Ellie, we'll see you later. So glad you could be on. And this is why, you know, like, for example, coming up with like what you would give and what she would give and what is the price of each of those. And the other piece is, does she really want what you would give? And do you really want what she would offer? Like, you know, that also has to be there. But I think so what I'm trying to say is that's why it's important for the monetary exchange to always happen. Bartering, you lose that and you lose the true value of things.
Mm-hmm.
And then people can't receive all that it actually can provide, right? Because you've lost that value. And so I think I think what's being asked of you, this is my intuitive sense for you, Tammy, is to fully claim your power and your value in what you're offering, you know. And I think, you know, if you're coaching for 6 months is $5,000, you know, I think probably the best response, now I'm not saying that this person will be happy with it, but the most aligned response from you is, this is $5,000 and I know it's worth even way more than that.
Yeah.
So I never charge less than that. And then the universe will say, good job, Tammy. Clients who are ready to pay that amount. That's
Universe loves it when I charge money.
The universe loves it when I charge money. Yeah. And this is such an important piece. There's this whole section that I have that I will get to you guys in one way or another about how to charge high ticket prices with confidence and joy. Right. And the power, claiming our power in that is such an important part. We've got to believe in the program. So I could go into that. I could share that as the next piece, if that might be helpful.
Could you just say one thing about this, the gift economy, maybe how this is?
Yeah. You know, it's so interesting because different people have different opinions about this. Okay. Charles Eisenstein has written an incredible book, Sacred Economics. Amazing book. And there are some things in there that I disagree with from what he's saying. It's very interesting. And that book was actually the basis for me to start trying donation-based pricing. Right? That's one way that we can experiment with the sacred economics. yeah, I highly recommend reading that or reading it again, you know, if you haven't, or even if you already have, because it's amazing. But I don't believe that offering things for free when you're putting a lot of your energy into it, I don't believe that's aligned. And that's the problem, is that when you're putting a lot of yourself, your life force energy into something and not getting anything back, that is not in reciprocity. That is not okay. Because you're going to be depleted, you're going to be burnt out. And he has it was a few years ago that I read the book, so I don't want to say things wrong, but I felt that he was a bit too much in favor of doing a lot for free. And I was like, nobody can survive doing this many things for free. So, you know, this is where the idea comes in. And Tammy, I may be going in a different direction here, so I won't spend a long time on this little piece, but this is where the ideas come in about donation-based or sliding scale. And meanwhile, he charges for his book. That's pretty funny. Donation-based or sliding scale, which is kind of an in-between. And it allows the people with more to give more and the people with less to still participate. But if you are going to provide anything in that way, you have to be really careful that you're still receiving enough to be a true positive exchange, a good, even exchange for the energy you're putting out. And where this, you know, the gift economy idea goes wrong, I believe, is that it makes us think we have to do a lot of stuff for free, expend a lot of our own energy, and we're just not receiving enough to be healthy, you know, and able to contribute to our highest good and the highest good of all. And yeah, exactly, Charlie. That's the other piece here. When things are free, you lose the value. You lose the value of it. And that's why, you know, on my donation-based programs, I will tell you, like, the price of this course is actually $777. This is a very high value course. And if I was going to charge you a price, I would charge you $444. But it's donation-based, so you get to pick. And it's a fascinating study. And I, you know, it's easier to do this with a bigger audience, but I had the highest donation I've ever gotten was $1,200. Somebody sent $1,200 for one of those courses. And I wrote to her and said, did you add an extra zero by accident? She was like, nope, you can keep it. And then I've gotten plenty of 1 cent, 5 cent. Some of those are from India or Africa where the exchange rate is terrible, you know, and that's great. I have one person, same person joins the course for $1. Every single time I offer a donation base, she sends me $1. She gets to take the course. But the important thing with this is, because I've experimented with it and I know the amount that's coming in, I know it is a good exchange in total for the energy I'm putting out. And so that's really the key thing, is that we've got to receive enough that's a good, positive exchange for whatever the energy is that we're putting out. And that's why one-on-one work, I think one-on-one work should never, ever be free. Because for that person to receive the highest good and the highest outcomes, and for you as the provider to be able to give your highest, that money holding the value recognition has got to be there. So does that all
Yes.
make sense? And it's interesting too, I think our conviction around these things, like I have such a strong conviction about that, about we should not be doing things for free that take a lot of our energy. I feel that so strongly, and I will not give away, and I will not barter with people, particularly for one-on-one work. I mean, that is just a straight no. There's no way I would even consider that. I will pay you for what you're going to give me, and you will pay me for what I'm going to give you. That's the only way I would consider it. So I do think our conviction around these things and really claiming our value and our power in that way is important. right? Really standing in our power about it. Because that happens, fairly frequently. I have people get on Discovery Call and I want to give you this and I want to take the Soulful Summit program. And I'm like, no, there's just no way. It's just not, it's not an even exchange. Yeah.
I could see that, because then I might even find myself unconsciously holding back.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm not getting paid for this, so I'm not going to give them my highest, level, because and so they're not receiving the fullest benefit.
Yeah. Right. Absolutely. I mean, that's just natural for, that's almost like a survival mechanism. To keep more of your energy for yourself. Right. Because you're not receiving enough. Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's really important. Did you want to say anything else or any other reflections on that part, Tammy?
I feel like I'm dominating this conversation.
That was
so
such
I'm
an important
trying to be careful. I guess I love their conviction, and I think that's really important.
Yeah.
And I guess sometimes I get lost in the karmic energetic. I'll give this, but I'll receive it. Maybe not back from her, but from someone else in some other way, And so that gift economy thing was blurring the lines for me.
Yeah. Yeah, that was one of my concerns with the Sacred Economics book, is that I didn't feel it was realistic. Like I said, I don't think people can survive if you truly operate in, I mean, it's like it has to be all or nothing. Actually, I would say if we were all fully operating in that way that he has written in that book, it would be beautiful. It would be a utopia. But there's also, people have tried that, and it's communism. And it's leads to other problems. Humans seem to create problems with things, one way or another. But if you're trying to do that in the midst of this world that we live in, you can't survive that way. And we do have to consider that, and that's part of this thing with blending the spirituality and entrepreneurship that is so hard. We do have to take these like hot, multi-dimensional principles and ask for money for them to survive and to be able to give our fullest, because that's this is the world that we need to operate in. This is this 3D reality that we need to operate in.
And sometimes there's no strong container around it. So like, yes, I'm going to her yoga class. She knows I'm in the class because I'm on the mat, right? I'm in the studio.
Yeah.
But sometimes, coaching or these different modalities can happen in a not as much of a container. So they're not really recognized that that's the value, and that's when it's happening.
Yeah. Right. Right. Especially if it's very transformational work where people are meeting with you every 2 weeks, but then in between the times that you're meeting, all these shifts and old patterns are broken, and, new way of being is formed. Yeah, definitely. And that needs to be included in the price.
The whole transformation.
The whole transformation needs to be included in the price. Yeah. Or at least the value, as the value is presented. Yeah. And Elise, did you have any questions or want to say anything?
Well, I wanted to say
Taking it all
two
in.
things. Two things. One thing is, I feel embarrassed because you are offering this container today freely on a free basis. So it's really the other end of the thing. So
Oh, that's
anyway,
interesting.
embarrassed is a big word, but anyway, you've been speaking and I've been thinking we are taking this class free. Anyway, so I don't know how you want to respond to that, but anyway, thank you anyway for this class. And the second thing is, if you have time, but I don't know how we stand, but if you could come back to what you said right at the beginning, this idea of flow, the flow coming in, coming out, and jumping to somebody else. And I really loved it. And you just touched on it and it went, but if you have time, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, thank you for saying the first part. That's so interesting. It is interesting that a money energetics workshop is free, but you all are in programs with me, so it's not, it's all part of the whole. That's how I've been perceiving it. So no worries about that. Yeah. And I guess I'm trying to think of the right way to say this. I just I guess what I will say is this is also fundamental to the entrepreneurial journey, right? That I think there is part of me that feels like this should be free. Like this should just be taught in schools, or like this should just be part of how we are brought up. That it's not. So it's really important to get it out. But yeah, thank you for acknowledging that. So as far as the flow, I guess, the idea, again, it's so beautifully expressed in the Soul of Money book. So I recommend reading that to get the whole thing. Okay. But what I will say is that, in that book, she gives examples of like a very wealthy person who just puts all their money in the bank, and they have like millions and millions of dollars in the bank, but they don't share it with anybody, and it's just sitting there. And she's like, that is completely out of alignment. That is stagnant, right? And it's not the way we're meant to utilize this energy of money. And she says what is much, much more in flow and much more in alignment. And again, read the book because she says this so much better than I will. But is somebody who, is working hard and earning their money and then giving it to their family or friends. I feel like you should read the book because I feel like I'm not saying it well, but it was this showing how the money can flow from one person to the next and help every single person along the way, right? And the magic of that. And that this money, this concept we have as money, which we make so evil and so bad, is really this incredible, magical, energetic gift of, that flows through and brings abundance and, opportunity everywhere that it goes. Right.
What if you're trying to like save for your retirement? Like you're not going to be out there earning and things like that. So you're putting money away. How does that play into this?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I'm not sure off the top of my head the answer to that, because clearly we do need to save for certain things, right? But there's a big difference between somebody just socking away everything they ever got and not sharing with anybody, versus you saving for retirement, but then also, donating to these causes and doing your sacred work and all that, right? So I think it's like we want to just have that concept in mind and then find out what is aligned for us and what feels right in our hearts for each of us individually. But the concept is the important piece, to really hold that in our awareness. Yeah. let me see. I think I will do a second part here because there's all these, there are just a lot of really practical steps, and I'll send you guys the Word document so you can see them, but I think it will be important for us to meet and discuss and, you know, be in community around them as well. I think what I'll do is close with this part. And all of this is actually about flow. So the title of this section is Practical Steps to Ensure You're on Track for Generating Abundance in Your Work. Okay, and so this is for each of us as entrepreneurs. And this is like regardless of the size of the audience. You know, you all have had your summits, so you have your audiences well built, and Charlie, you soon will. But this is also true for somebody who, you know, doesn't have an email list and is only on social media, or has 20 people on the email list. Okay, it's equally true for all. So the first one is to regularly communicate with your people. You'll notice all of these are about opening up the flow. All right, so the flow of communication is a really important part of receiving abundance. And you want to mix up the communications with, you know, different, so you want to make offers some of the time. You want to invite them to have free stuff some of the time. You want to just share insights from your heart some of the time. And you want to speak from your heart and soul always in these communications. There's a whole section I have that I'll put in part 2 that's about like the sacred feminine marketing and marketing that feels aligned with the heart, right? That's these very practical pieces, but just the communication. So if you have an email list, send emails. You know, I send a ton of emails, obviously, but send at least an email a week, you know, or if that's really, really too much for you, send an email every 2 weeks, but be in communication with your people. Share with them what's moving for you. Share with them what's inspiring you. Or share other things. You know, I share the Shift Network things that I think are really helping to raise consciousness, right? Other people's programs, if you have the opportunity to do so, as long as it's aligned. But send emails if you have an email list, right? Stay in communication, because just being in that flow where they're hearing from you regularly, then when you do make an offer, they're going to be much more likely to open the email and read what you have to say and consider it, or attend your webinar, or whatever it might be. All right, so it's like keep the lines of communication open. Another one is sell stuff. So make offers some of the time. Really be sure to do that. There's a lot of people that I talk to. It's interesting, like, you know, I'm sure you guys have seen this too as summit creators. Some of the speakers are terrified to send the emails about the summits because they might have an unsubscriber. Oh my gosh. But this is just so silly, because we need to send the emails to be in communication. And some of the emails need to be inviting people to things, you know, including paid things. That's how we're going to survive as an entrepreneur. And that's how our people are going to receive the transformations or the healings or whatever we have to give, or the teachings, you know. So we want to set it up so that they do expect us to make offers some of the time and sell them stuff some of the time. We just, you know, you want to email or communicate with your community in a way that kind of sets the standards. It's like sets the foundation for how you're going to be continuing to engage with them, because then they're like, oh, okay, this is how this person communicates. You know, I have 12,000 or more people on my email list that are just used to getting a whole lot of emails. And that's great. That's great, you know. And I want them to be, because I have a lot to share, and I want people to know, like, this is how Sacred Planet is. We share a lot of things. I do recommend too having a free monthly gathering of some sort. I find this to be really powerful. Like Ellie does Self-Love Sundays. Tari and I do the Dream Symposium. You know, think of what you can do that's free on a monthly basis. And so there is a time and a place to do things for free, right? Like a free sales webinar is amazing because it offers something. It offers people at least a small amount of transformation or new insights, new understanding. but it also allows you to sell something and receive, where people don't have to buy it. You're never going to force people to buy anything. That's their option. But if they want to, they can buy it. If they don't, they just get the free piece, right? But you're opening the channels for people for you to receive. So the free monthly gathering is just going to be something that it's like a free gift that just keeps on getting out there in new and different ways, because every gathering will be a little different. And that will be continually bringing people into your community and letting them experience a little bit of you and who you are and what you offer. Right. And so I feel that that is worth doing for free, because it's going to open the door to new connections, new people who then some of them will go on to invest with you. Right. Have at least 1 or 2 free gifts that you can share widely, and just share them, every once in a while. Include them in an email, include them in a social media post. If you make videos, talk about them in your videos. All of this is just, it's opening the flow. It's opening the flow of people to come in and then begin receiving your beautiful communications, and then decide to partner with you in some way, possibly. And then the last step there is to create those 3 levels of programs that I really strongly recommend doing, which is an entry-level offer, which is, like $199 or less. We can say dollars, pounds, euros, it's all fairly similar, right? $199 or less. And then a medium priced offer that's maybe like $200 to $1,000. And then higher priced offer, the premium offer, I recommend that being $3,000 to $5,000 or above, depending on what you're offering, but these are just general guidelines. And I think all the detail of those 3 levels of programs will be part of the second webinar, right? But one thing that is important to know is don't try to develop the high ticket offer until you've been doing the entry level and the medium offer for a while. That's really important. And I've learned that, along the way. Because you want to really get to know and deeply, deeply understand what your people need the most. And then you can create the high ticket offer around that. But it's like, you've got to spend time doing that research and getting really, really clear on what they need the most before you'll be able to design it properly for them to receive it. Right. And it also just helps, people are more able to invest more money once they know you better. Once you've been communicating with them for a while, or they've done a lower price program with you, or they've been attending your free gatherings for a year, or whatever it might be, right? They need to know you. They need to know they can trust you before they're going to send you that larger amount. And this is something that comes with just more years of being in business. I realized this as working with Elizabeth Purvis, too, that she would say, well, you just do this and that, and 20 new people come into your program. And I was like, well, for you, they do, because you've been doing this for 25 years or whatever, maybe not that long, 15 years, and she has this really well-known name in the space. But for me, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, that was not the case. And I was getting really frustrated at first. And I think this can happen, it happens to all of us at some point. It's like, why are people not picking up on my stuff, right? Why are they not jumping in? I know it's so valuable. And part of it is like, we need to be patient, and eventually we establish our name more and more strongly over time. And it becomes easier and easier for people to feel that trust earlier, even in the relationship with us, and jump right in. So there is really something about establishing your name. So to some extent, we want to be patient, be patient with that. I know it's hard. I really went through that in a rough way at certain points. But when we stay with it, that time does come. So there's more there, particularly about the high ticket prices and the 3 levels of programs, and the principles of sacred feminine marketing. So we'll do those in another call. Sorry to leave you with a cliffhanger. I will send you the Word document so you can take a look and see what it includes, but it'll be, you know, of course, way more powerful when we discuss it as a group. So thank you all.
I wanted to thank you, Jocelyn.
Oh,
I mean,
Yes.
this
Same.
is just such a gift.
mm,
I've been in that, like, my emotions have been in my throat the entire time because everything's just resonating so strongly. And I so believe in the way that you teach, and I feel it and I see it example in you and the way that you do it. And it's just really beautiful. And thank you for sharing it. You're always so generous with that. And just want to thank you for that.
thank you, Tammy. That means so much to me. Thank you.
Yes. Same.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Such a wealth of wisdom that you're sharing.
Mm. I'm so glad to hear that. So glad it's helpful. So glad it is of service. And yeah, I hope it's all really inspiring to each of you and helps to, you know, keep on lifting you up in new ways. And thank you for trusting me and listening and being here with your heart and soul. That makes all the difference in the world.
And Venus Jupiter alignment, it's a perfect time for it too, isn't it? Value.
It
and
really is.
abundance.
Yeah. Yes. Venus, thank you for mentioning that
Mm.
again, Charlie. Venus and Jupiter are both about wealth
Mm.
and abundance. Venus, particularly about how we value ourselves, right? And Jupiter about our growth and expansion into the fullness of who we truly are and all the wisdom that we really hold, right? So this is big. And if you haven't been, be sure to look for them in the nighttime sky, early in the evening, right after sunset. They've been with the moon the last few nights. It's been just glorious.
Been amazing. The moon is just out now, out here.
Oh,
So
amazing.
I should see them when it gets a bit darker.
Yeah,
beautiful.
so beautiful. So we get to watch them like
Here they come. They're like these goddesses of abundance and wealth, you know, and Jupiter is like, yeah, come on.
Come
Here
on,
to help
have it
us all.
Have it all.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Jupiter says, take the leap. It's all
Yeah.
good. I got you. Yeah.
I love it.
But it's really powerful to see them like come closer and closer together and to, like just knowing all that they represent, and that for thousands and thousands of years, probably 10,000 years or more, right? People knew what these beautiful beings represented in the sky and have prayed to them, and we can do that too. Yeah, and that they'll be with Chiron is very rare and very fascinating, and
Yeah.
just amazing time for healing so that we can fully receive all of that abundance.
Wow.
So, yeah, powerful days, March 1st and 2nd.
Perfectly timed.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, I wish you all a beautiful rest of your day. And when we talk next, I will be in Egypt. Is that correct? I
Oh,
think
wow.
it is. Yeah.
That's so
I'll be in Egypt.
exciting.
So can't wait for that. I'll be on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean.
Is that March 9th?
Let me check and make sure.
I think it is. and
Yeah, it's
I-
got to be March 9th because that's my
Yeah.
one day.
I might be traveling that day, so I might not be able to.
Oh no. Okay, where are you going? If you don't mind.
Cayman Islands and then to Florida after.
Nice. Well, enjoy.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I will see you guys very soon. Once again, lots of love.
Thank you so
Many
much.
blessings.
Thank you.
Have an amazing trip to
Yes.
Egypt.
Travel
Yeah,
safe,
have a
everyone.
great trip, Jocelyn.
So
Fantastic.
jealous.
So much. Yeah. Can't wait to share from there.
Yeah.
I'll be watching on the replay.
Okay, awesome.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
All right.
Bye.
Now, everybody.